Returning to Reality with GP. Before the show starts, a few ground rules need to be said. Number 1, if you're a prominent YouTuber and you admire GP's editing style, add to GP directly about how he does his editing. Number 2, prominent YouTubers must do a reaction video to GP's latest upload to learn his editing techniques for free. Number 3, people who are emotionally sensitive to cold, hard truth, you don't belong here, so get the fuck on somewhere right now. Number 4, any non-black women or black women under the age of 40 who find GP romantically or sexually attractive, refrain from advances, or else you will get blocked. Number 5, if you are an attractive 40 to 55-year-old black woman and you would date and or marry a 24-year-old man, inbox GP on Instagram. It's GP, your show starts in less than 30 seconds. You ready?
You damn right I'm ready. And make sure I look good for the camera just in case one of these fine ass grannies decide to tune into the show. Alright, let's get it.
Yo, what's y'all? It's your boy GP. As per usual, I got another video for y'all today. Before we get into that video, look directly where the red arrow points to spot me on your screen. Now let's roll that.
So I'm gonna meet this girl at her place, right? And we were gonna go out, but she said we needed to wait on her babysitter to show up so someone could watch her 5-year-old daughter, right? When I first get to the neighborhood, I realized it's a gated community in North Dallas. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I had to text her to get the code and everything. So I'm like, damn, seems like a nice area. Surely nothing goes on wild here, right? So as I'm pulling up to her house, I noticed that her front lawn is cut diagonal. You know what I mean? It's not cut in a straight line. So I'm like, oh, okay. It's cut like a golf course. This is nice, real nice, you know? But back to the story. So she lets me in the house, right? And she's kind of overdressed for where we're going. So I'm sitting on the couch just chilling, right? I'm eating one of her kids' fruit snacks. She has a PS5 on this big ass flat screen. So I'm like, oh, hell yeah. And the sitter should be there any minute. Everything's going great, right? Then out of nowhere, I hear boop, 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 boop. Sound like LAPD at the front door. She jumps up and looks at me like I was suspecting company. Like, nah, girl, this your house. Who the hell is that? And I wasn't really scared until she got up and she went to the door and she looked through the window thing on the right side. And when she turned around, the face she had looking at me looked like pure fear. Like she shouldn't have been there either. I'm like, whoa, like what's going on? She's like, you need to get up, get your stuff. You need to go to the pantry right now. I'm like, the pantry? She's like, get up, get your stuff and go hide in the pantry. So I wasn't gonna let her say it 3 times. So I got up, I got all my stuff and I go hide in the kitchen pantry. And I was sitting there next to a box of Ritz. I remember specifically. So while I was sitting in that pantry, I didn't know what was going on, right? But later I found out, you know, like just to add information in right now, that her babysitter had to cancel. But she called her ex-husband instead of calling her because she had like no clue that they were even going through a split, right? So he showed up to pick up the kids, but he saw my car in the driveway. I'm sitting in this pantry, I'm hugging my little tool bag and my hard hat, and I'm like trying to breathe like real quiet. And then I overhear like them yelling, like blah, blah, like it's like real muffled. But then I hear like a slap, like a loud bah! And then she goes, and you still hit like a bitch. And I'm like, oh, they squabbing. So I'm like, okay, do I get out the pantry and go like do something, or do I sit here and, you know, let this family matter go on? You know what I mean? Then I started hearing glass breaking and all kinds of stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to sit in here while there's like full-fledged domestic violence going on. So I get up, I walk around like the little kitchen short hallway thing. And then when I see him, my whole mind kind of changed. And I wish I was still in that pantry because he was this big, buff, no neck, Vin Diesel, cornbread and hot sauce and beans for breakfast looking motherfucker. And I didn't really know what to do. So I was like, hey, yo. And then as soon as he heard me, he turned and looked at me and he started walking my way and he was like cussing and everything already. And then she saw that he was coming towards me. So she like ran and kind of like intercepted, you know, his path. I guess she was trying to save my life, right? But as soon as like she got in front of me, he picked her up like a toddler, like underneath the armpits. He picked her up and chunked her. I'm talking like almost 10 feet into the couch, and the couch like flipped over. So I'm like, okay. And then when my adrenaline's pumping and I'm mad, I start to sound like my mom for no reason. So I was like, hey, so what you not gonna do is just throw people. But before I can get the word around out of my mouth, I'm up off the ground. You know what I mean? And he throws me. And I remember I did one half spin and I saw like the kitchen, and then I was on the dining table, like the dining table, and then I hit this little dog cage, and then I hit the tile floor, and I thought I was dead. I knew I wasn't dead, but I played dead because I didn't want no more of what that got going on. That was a family matter. I shouldn't even say anything.
Now, with the issues of modern dating in the U.S., I can't say women or men are solely to blame for it. Modern dating in the U.S. is a multi-layered issue. Now, let me give an analogy to explain what I mean by that. Think of the modern dating market as a garden that has become infested with weeds. Now, the weeds are only the surface of the infestation. Below the surface of any garden lays its soil. The soil does most of the heavy lifting by absorbing water and sunlight to keep the crops alive. Below the soil in gardens, even deeper in the ground, there lies roots. Now let me get into how this pertains to the dating market. The unrealistic standards and expectations of modern women are only the weeds at the surface of the overall multi-layered issue in the modern dating market. The soil is women's nature to seek out familiar dynamics in new relationships, even if the familiarity in a relationship always produced a negative long-term outcomes in past relationships. And the root of this issue is simps who are willing to do anything for women, even to their own detriment. Now, there's an old expression that says, if you want to get rid of weeds, you have to get them by the root. That also applies to the toxicity in the modern dating market. The only possible way to put a stop to the unrealistic expectations and standards of modern women is to stop men from being simps. The only way that would ever happen is if the family law court stopped automatically giving custody to the mother, allowing boys to live with their father if their parents ever got divorced. Now, that way, future generations of boys will naturally grow up to be masculine men. However, we have women out here advocating against updating the family court laws, so it's highly unlikely that that'll happen. As long as we have boys being raised in fatherless homes, the simp epidemic will be everlasting. My issue in the modern day market is not simps, it's not the expectations of modern women, because I date old women. Now, my issue is the hardwired tendency of women to go for familiarity instead of what could work. Any woman I date has to be 40 to 55 years old. Now, I'm always either told I'm too young or only used for casual hookups when I try to date 40 to 55-year-old women. Now, one question for any 40 to 55-year-old women who might be watching. If seeking out older men in your younger years has never worked out for you and has left you single at over half a century of life on this earth, what makes you think that you won't end up single and heartbroken again if you continue seeking out what never worked for you before? And as always, you are a 40 to 55-year-old black woman and you look good and have guys enough to be your son hitting on you all the time. Go ahead, hit your boy up on Instagram. All my souls on that little TV down there. Alright, I'm gone.
If you enjoyed the show, be sure to follow the instructions right below me. Unless you're illiterate. In the case that you're illiterate, go learn to read before tuning back into the show. This show is for fully literate adults only. I'll see you guys in the next video. Till next time.